How's it going, all of you beautiful people around the world? My name is Ryan, aka Blackbeard TCG, and as promised, I am bringing you guys my Don Quixote Doflamingo deck profile. You guys asked, so here it is. I will also tell you guys about the matchup that I ended up tying with. I'm gonna tell you guys some strategies, some gameplay, and all that good stuff. So hopefully you guys can go ahead and represent blue. As I always say, blue deck equals best deck. But a couple things real quick. Just want to let you guys know, very good news. First thing is, I got a new podcast dropping. It's going to be me solo, new podcast dropping tomorrow. So you guys will have some more content. If you guys are on your commute, going to school, going to work, doing whatever, maybe you're playing the new Path of Exile League, you want something in the background, no worries, your boy has you. I'll have a new podcast dropping for you guys tomorrow. I'm also going to be making a new project for y'all. I'm telling you guys, I am making so much content for you guys. I am going to be starting something called the One Piece Blue Bible. Now, what is the One Piece Blue Bible, you may ask? Well, it's going to be a living document for free. For free. I know, like, I'm giving this to you guys for free because you guys are supporting me. As long as you guys keep liking my videos, as long as you guys keep subscribing, that's fine. I've gotten some people that subscribe to my Patreon. I appreciate all of you guys. But I also have to make sure that those of you that are subscribed to me, that are watching my videos, all that stuff, I have to make sure that you guys are eaten too, all right? You guys deserve to have this too. So what it's gonna be is it's gonna be a document. I'm starting with Crocodile. I'm going to be doing this with the community on live streams, and it's going to be a document that anybody can have access to for free, where it's going to break down the card. We're gonna talk about why the card is good. So say we're talking about Perona. We'll talk about like her uses, her positives, her negatives, how many copies you ideally want to run. I'll also have a section in the document showing deck lists that have top locals, that have top events in both English and Japanese, so people can take inspiration from it, maybe run their own version or copy the exact same list and see if they can have success with it. So it's going to be a document that's going to be talking about matchups, how to pilot the deck, and it's going to be something that continuously changes as more and more cards come out. So stay tuned for that. I'm focusing on blue. It is going to be a tall task. I know when I brought up the idea, I was talking to my girlfriend and she was saying, like, what if people want to see it for other colors? Well, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I want to create something realistic for now, and we'll see if it's popular. We'll see if it helps people. Because if it does, then maybe we'll branch out to other colors. But because blue's my favorite color, we're going to start with Crocodile, and then we're going to get into Doflamingo. So with that being said, let me show you guys the Doflamingo list that I brought to the box tournament and had pretty good success with it. So Doflamingo, obviously you have to run the 4 copies of Perona. That's an absolute must. Don't really need to explain too much about her. She's your searcher. She's gonna be the card that you hard mulligan for, because she's gonna allow you to set up your deck. She's gonna allow you to be able to cheat things out, or maybe grab a counter if needed. And same thing with your Doflamingo 3-drop. So basically you want to hard mulligan for Perona because she's your turn 1 play. If you don't have Perona, then it's also good to keep your Doflamingo. If you mulligan and you don't see either of these two, don't worry, the game is still playable, guys, okay? Don't give up. It's 100% still playable. This just makes the game a lot easier for you. So now let's go ahead and show our 7 Warlords engine. So we have the 4 copies of Trafalgar Law, who's a blocker, 4 copies of Boa Hancock, who is the MVP of this deck, in my opinion, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. My favorite character in the entire series, Marshall D. Teach, 4 copies of that bad boy. We run 4 copies of Kuma, as well as 4 copies of another broken card, Gecko Moria. So Trafalgar Law is very self-explanatory. He's going to be a blocker for us. Of course, we have the best character in the series, Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard, TCG. We got Blackbeard here, who's going to be really good to flip stuff back to the opponent's hand, especially if we're trying to go for game and they have annoying blockers. We can go ahead and flip that. We also have Kuma. Now you might be wondering, where's the Pacifista, Ryan? Why are you running Kuma with no Pacifista? Well, the thing is, he's a blocker with 5k, and if we think about any of our other options, of course we can play Whitebeard Jr., we could play Weevil, I believe is his name, but he has no ability, right? And he has a 3 cost, but he has no ability. We could also play Crocodile 5 cost. Crocodile 4 cost, but we have to attach a Dawn for him to be a blocker. And I wanted to have another blocker just in case if I was going up against Zoro, because the more blockers that you can have, the better. So that's why I decided to run him even without Pacifistas. And honestly, it worked out pretty good for me. Next, the MVP is Boa Hancock. And why do I say that? So Boa Hancock allows you to use her on offense. It's actually worth protecting her. And the reason why I say that is because every time you attack or you defend and you have 5 or less cards in your hand with 1 Dawn attached to her, you can draw a card. So there's a world where your opponent swings into her, you go ahead and use a 2K counter if you have 5 cards in hand, and then on block, you're going to be able to draw 1 card. So you basically get to replenish that card that you just used to block. And if you have multiple Boa Hancocks and you've been popping off, you're playing cards, you're blocking, you're attacking, every turn you're using cards. Every time that these guys attack, you're going to be able to draw. So this is going to be a card that your opponent really, really wants to get off board. If they're playing red, they might even want to jet pistol it just to get it off board, which is nice because then you don't have to worry about Otama jet pistoling hitting your other characters. But honestly, it's pretty worth it for them to do that because you can just generate so much advantage off this card. And in a lot of my games, I've found that protecting Boa Hancock actually worked out so good with the amount of draw power that I was getting. And then, of course, Gecko Moria allows you to recover any of these people. Okay, so now let's talk about how do we defend our Boa Hancock, right? How do we defend our MVP? So we play the 4 Alvida, very, very self-explanatory. You actually don't mind playing her if you have no super early play turn 1. Like, let's say your hand is just absolutely abysmal, which could happen. You have no Trafalgar Law, you have no Doflamingo, you have no Prona. Of course, that's not ideal, and obviously you would mulligan if you see a hand like that, but let's say you end up in a situation where you don't have any of those, and you have Alvida, please, by all means, feel free to play it. It's not the best at swinging, but of course you can go ahead and swing into those Momonosuke's, you can swing into those Jewelry Bonnies, and at worst case scenario, you can spin back Nico Robbins or Okiku, which is pretty good value, but of course you have to trash 1. But just don't be too afraid of playing this. Of course, it's a 2K counter, so you don't want to, but what I'm trying to say is it's not the end of the world. Then we also play for Mr. 2. That is correct. And he is just here for another 2K counter in order for us to have more defense for our leader, but also to protect our Boa Hancock. So that way we can continuously draw cards and gain advantage. And then, of course, obviously, we're going to play Mihawk. And Mihawk is a card that can also be pulled from Gecko Moria. So you have another 2K counter. So this is basically your ideal. You want to be able to play your Boa Hancock. Ideally, you want to be able to cheat her out early so you don't have to play her. She might be a target for your opponent to attack. You can go ahead and use 2K counters. Please, by all means, be very, very, very leisurely. What's the word? Don't be reluctant to use your counters or blockers to protect her. Trust me, it is worth it, right? Don't be stingy and go like, okay, I'll let her die. Like, she's a blocker anyways. Like, no. You want to keep her alive and you want to swing with her and gain advantage with her as much as possible, okay? So now, in terms of the big beaters, we have 2 copies of Doflamingo, 2 copies of Mihawk, and then 3 copies of Crocodile. I know. A lot of people... maybe I'm just high on copium, but I actually think this Crocodile is so good. Now, to be fair, I'm only running 3 copies of Level Beam, but for me, I feel that the true value of Crocodile comes in Banish. And I'm going to have a video on this later on the channel, but if you take a look at the tournament that just happened in Japan, Neon, I believe, who was the winner of the tournament, was playing 2 copies of the Yamato with Double Strike that has Banish. And Neon actually said that in that event, that entire tournament, he was able to banish 40 life. Now, of course, obviously, if that was Crocodile, it would only be 20 because she has double hit. But just imagine that. That's 40 cards that did not see the light of day to get added to the hand, instead going straight to trash. I think Banish is a really underrated mechanic right now. I feel like it's not something that needs to be heavily invested in, but it's a tool that is very strong. It's kind of like the Trafalgar Law that I was talking about that can just instantly shave off 1 life. Abilities like that are really strong, and you have to think about it. The game is built around the idea of you getting life to your hand when you get hit. So it's abnormal when you don't get that, right? Because there's so few cards that allow you to do that, which right off the bat makes it strong. The fact that there's few of it makes it strong. Again, you're not going to heavily index into that. And that's why if I was making changes to my build, I would actually drop 1 copy of Crocodile. I think that I would drop 1 copy of Crocodile. I would also potentially think about dropping one copy of Love Beam instead, and I would place in 2 Virgos to just give me a little bit more of a mid-range presence, because in some situations I felt like I didn't really have too much mid-range options, which is in one of the games as well that I ended up losing to the Kaido player. I wish that I had a Virgo, because instead I had to play the Crocodile, and then I had to use an extra 2 Dawn in order to play it, and then I didn't have options for a counter after. So things like that, Virgo definitely has its place. So I feel like maybe I would subtract these 2 cards and add in 2 Virgo. Or I would definitely subtract 1 Crocodile, and then maybe you can minus 1 thing from something else somewhere here. Maybe you want to play 1 less Martial D Teach. I think 3 Teach is still definitely really good, because at some point this kind of loses its value a little bit. So I wouldn't mind dropping these 2 and adding in 2 more Virgo. I think that's definitely an option. But I feel like Crocodile is a very, very strong card. And I know that some people just don't like him. Some people think it's not worth it. 7 cost for 7,000 power, not that strong. Obviously, you have Doflamingo with the same stat line, but Doflamingo can bounce a card. But the same way how people value Doflamingo for bouncing a card, I personally value Crocodile for banishing a card, especially if we are going up against the Laws and the Zoros who are seeing rampant play right now. Especially if you can hit Law with your Crocodile, then it feels so damn good, because like they need to do whatever it takes to not let that attack go through. Like, that's the mentality when you have Banish, right? Because if not, they're not getting that extra card. It completely changes how the game is played once this is on the board. Now, don't make the mistake that I did when you play into Kaido. For me, I always say respect the 10-drop Kaido. I did not, and I lost because of it. I indexed too hard. I played 2 Mihawks because I was trying to end the game. I was looking at the time. I was 1-0. I wanted to see if I could get the 2-0 so I could just solidify the round. If I was able to just live the one last turn, it would have been fine. I got 10 cost Kaido, no cards in my hand. I ended up losing. I made a mistake. I should have played more defense. I should have played a lot slower, because against Kaido, you don't want to be sitting at 2 life, because if you get to 2 life, it's basically GG. 10-drop Kaido comes on your head. When 10-drop Kaido hits the board, he wipes the entire thing. If you can't lethal him when the turn passes back to him, you're pretty much screwed, because he's going to be able to have 2 swings, one being super beefy on the leader. He ditches 7 Dawn to make sure that you lose 1 life. He can swing with his leader to put you in lethal, and then swing with the 12k power Kaido to end the game. So you always want to try to stay above 2 life against Kaido. Obviously, more the better, but 2 life is like you're on fumes. Like, you're literally on borrowed time, because that can easily happen at any time. So you have to also play with that in mind, and hopefully play around it, and have units that you could play like blockers and things like that to hopefully save, and don't over index. That was my fault. I played it too quickly. I deserved to lose that game, and GG. And because of that, I ended up having a record of 3-0-1, which another player had 3-0-1. And so I only got half a box. If I was able to play it smarter, if I was able to play slower and respect the 10-drop Kaido, I could have went undefeated 4-0 and took home a box. But you know what? Everything is a learning experience. We have a lot of blockers in our deck. Feel free to play slow. Doflamingo rewards those that think steps ahead. Kind of like how Doflamingo does in the show, manipulates things like with his strings. You can get the cards that you need, think turns in advance, know what your opponent can do, and play slow. That would be my best advice to anybody that wants to pick up this deck. It takes practice. You want to know which cards you want to pick. You want to know how you can stack your deck. You have to remember how you stacked your deck as well, so you're not in a situation where you're using your ability and you can't. You have to know when you want to put cards at the bottom. If you're facing green, you want to try to dig for your big units. So there's a lot of things you have to learn and you have to remember, but don't worry, that Blue Bible will be coming out soon, and I will be helping all of you guys pilot Crocodile and Doflamingo. Okay, guys? Again, this is my build. I like it this way. If you guys do not want to run the Crocodile, if you don't see a lot of value in him, drop him, add in your Virgos, try to run the same list. If you don't want to run as many 2K counters, drop the Mr. 2s, put in some Pacifistas. There's so many ways that you could play this, but I think the idea is the same. Obviously, against green, you want to have your Mihawk and your Doflamingo and your Crocodile. You want to see those guys early. When you're facing red, you want to have your blockers early. When you're facing Kaido, you want to rush him as much as possible, stay above 2 life. And yeah, that's basically it. I honestly can't give too much opinion about the mirror match because nobody plays blue. So I do apologize, guys. I wish I had more information on that. But with that being said, I hope this helped you guys out. I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. Try it, play around with it. Like I said, protect your Ball Hancock at all costs. Draw a bunch of cards. Have fun. Do not underestimate Banish. If you don't like it, take it out. Put in some Virgos so you have some more mid-rangey plays. Enjoy the deck, guys. Enjoy it. Blue is so much fun. But with that being said, guys, I'm on to the next deck. And that is going to be mono red Luffy or Kaido. And there's a reason why I'm thinking about Kaido. There's a very, very big reason why. But stay tuned for all that. I got a podcast tomorrow. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share it with a friend. Would I be able to get to 1.5K subscribers before the new year? I don't know. It's kind of a lofty goal. But hey, man. A man's dream will never end. So that is the goal, 1.5K before the end of the year. Make sure to like, subscribe, share with a friend, and I am out. Peace.